Hey guys, what's up? This is Crexon. I want to welcome you to episode 4 of Soundwave, where today we're going to be reviewing Volume 4. Now, this was Black Sabbath's fourth album, obviously, released in September 25th, 1972. This was the first Black Sabbath album not to be produced by Roger Bain. This was produced by Tony Iommi, as well as the band's, at the time, manager Patrick Meehan. And his involvement in this album and the subsequent album can be a little bit disputed in terms of how much they actually contributed to the album, and I'll explain that a little later in future episodes. But I just want you guys to bear that in mind, that, while he is listed, I don't know how much he really did. You could say this is more on Tony Iommi, and what Volume 4 is to me is an album that signifies change. You guys know the rules. We go standard track listing only. So, in order of appearance, we got Wheels of Confusion / The Straightener, Tomorrow's Dream, Changes, Effects, Supernaut, that's the song I played in the intro, one of the best songs I ever made, spoiler alert, Snowblind, Cornucopia, Laguna Sunrise, St.Vitus Dance, and Under the Sun / Everyday Comes and Goes. So, before I start rambling, let's just get right into it. Track 1, Wheels of Confusion. Now, as soon as this song hits, it gives this very, psychedelic, almost melancholy kind of vibe. And one thing you also notice that, unfortunately for me, is a downgrade is the lack of bass presence from Geezer Butler on this album compared to the 3 prior. Now, I don't want to say he's buried in the mix, but it is significantly less prominent than what we've heard. But, that's just more of a personal preference thing. That might not bother you as much. One thing I will say as a positive is the really growly guitar tone that this album has. It's not like the sludginess that we had on Master of Reality, but it does kind of have its own snarl, growly kind of quality that I really like. Once the actual groove of this song hits, I really like Ozzy Osbourne's vocals. I feel like this album overall is actually a step up than what he did on Master of Reality, because the selling point of Master of Reality for me were the sludgy riffs and the punchy bass lines, not so much the drumming and vocals, but Bill Ward and Ozzy Osbourne they do a lot more on this album, so I will give it that. That psychedelic intro, one thing you notice is Tony Iommi does a lot of arpeggiations with overdrive, and I don't want to say something as bold as Black Sabbath invented black metal, but a lot of it is very black metal-esque, so you could almost imagine someone kind of went back and listened and what if we expanded on what Tony was doing on some of the songs on Volume 4, and I could easily see how someone would hear some of these songs, and you could hear that kind of vibe in a song like maybe Freezing Moon by Mayhem. But, just an observation. I'll point that out more in other songs. The drums also, super varied. Just a lot going on that Bill does. If you, listen closely, just constant changes. That's this whole song. It's not so much verse, chorus. It's almost like a musical journey that you're going on. Up until this, middle section where it's da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Again, that, black metal-esque kind of nasty sort of feel. And then it kind of has this faster kind of beat, spacey overdubs at one point near the middle of the song. You just hear these kind of sweeping sounds. It just very flowy kind of feel most of the song has. And then my favorite riff of the song, I wrote it down the specific timestamp, 3 minutes and 32 seconds. I wish they played this riff longer, but it's one of my favorite riffs, in all of Black Sabbath, honestly. And I just wish they kind of just milked it a little longer. Lots of layers and changes, and it kind of goes back to the verse, and then it goes into this whole sort of psychedelic kind of outro, and it fades out with this guitar solo. But yeah, cool song overall. I mean, I know I said I had some gripes with the production, and which I have for the whole album, but yeah, this is a good taste of what Black Sabbath is trying to accomplish on this album. Lyrically, the song seems to be about coming of age. Long ago I wandered through my mind, in the land of fairy tales and stories. Lost in happiness I knew no fears, innocence and love was all I knew, was an illusion. Soon the days went passing into years, happiness just didn't come so easy. Life was born of fairy tales and daydreams. Innocence was just another word. Was it illusion? So, very much when you're young, the world seems very black and white, and as you grow older, things start to become gray. You realize, not everyone knows everything or what they're doing in life, and most of us are just kind of winging it. So it's like that loss of innocence and kind of seeing like things aren't very clear as terms of what you're supposed to do. But and like I said before, the song feels like a journey, and these lyrics are like a journey because that's basically life. We're just going forward, and things are constantly changing, very much like this song. So I kind of like how they did that. That almost seemed like it was very much thought out. But yeah, great lyrics by Geezer Butler. This is a pretty cool song, and yeah, no complaints. I like it. Track 2, Tomorrow's Dream. Now, the most standout characteristic of this song right away, again, is that fuzzy, almost woolly, wolfy kind of guitar sound that Tony has on this album. The song almost kind of, again, I'm going to say this multiple times, psychedelic kind of vibe. This whole album kind of has that. Tomorrow's Dream is the first time you hear this song where it almost sounds like it's a song kind of cobbled together. Not bad by any means, but it's just like, oh, we got a couple riffs, let's just put it all together, and it's pretty good. And that's kind of how Tomorrow's Dream always kind of came across to me. I don't know, it's never a song that's like, yeah, I'm gonna go listen to that one right now. It's like if it comes on, I listen to it, but it's never one of the standout tracks for me. And I do like the actual chorus section though, it's pretty cool. But again, very spacey, psychedelic feeling. The lyrics in particular I really like here for that section because it emphasizes what the song's really all about. When sadness fills my days, it's time to turn away and let tomorrow's dreams become reality to me. Very much a song about new beginnings and kind of seizing your moment, making everything that you want to happen become a reality. So I like that a lot. And then the guitar solo that Tony Iommi does, like in the background, you almost hear this like kind of weird like phaser effect. I don't know if that was a guitar or like a keyboard or something. But yeah, pretty cool. Again, very psychedelic, spacey vibes that they try to put in a lot of these songs. But yeah, just the riffs and like the arrangement of the song just kind of feels like it's cobbled together. But the parts themselves do sound cool. So this is kind of a nitpick for me. You might like this song a lot, but for me, it's not one of their best, but still pretty decent. Track 3, Changes. Now, I love this song a lot. It is completely different from what Black Sabbath is known for doing. Again, every album, they have one of those songs. Sleeping Village, Planet Caravan, Solitude, and now Changes. Now Changes, there's no guitar or anything. It's a piano-driven ballad with a lot of mellotron, very warm-sounding bass sound from Geezer Butler. And I love Ozzy's vocals in this. Like, he really nails that sense of, like, pain and heartache that the song's about. I believe it was inspired by a divorce that Geezer Butler was going through at the time. It's a song about a relationship coming to an end and trying to move on and pick up the pieces. Very relatable. I mean, pretty much everyone can relate to, like, something, heartbreak, relationship going wrong at some point in their life. And this song is literally just a perfect ballad. There's only like 3 parts in it, and they just kind of repeat. And it just has this melancholy, somber, it tugs at the heartstrings. And yeah, this is like one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs, period, despite being a significant departure from what their usual sound is known for being. I can't elaborate on it too much, but because it's such a simple arrangement, but I absolutely adore this song. Fantastic.
Emotional, damn it!
Track 4, Effects. Now, this really isn't much I could say about this. It's completely unnecessary. Iommi had like a necklace around his neck, and it was like striking his guitar, and it had like a delay effect on it, and they thought it was making like really weird sounds, and they just recorded it, and that's fine, but why would you put that on an album? It's literally just noise. There's no composition or anything. yeah, it feels like it was just kind of put there like as a goof. So that's literally all you could really say about effects. Track 5, Supernaut. Now, for the longest time, Supernaut was like my favorite Black Sabbath song ever, and it's probably still up there. I mean, it'd be really hard for me to make like a top 10 songs list, but you know, it starts off with this hi-hat intro by Bill Ward, and Iommi hits this amazing groovy riff, like one of the best riffs he's ever done. And when the whole band kicks in, he kind of does like a harmony over that. And most of the song is basically just two riffs. It's that intro riff and then the verse riff. And the verse riff is just as good. It's just almost like a Hendrixy chord, just he does these slides up to the 10th fret and then those little chords. And it's just those two riffs for the most part, you know. Simple pentatonic stuff, but it grooves so damn hard. And I wish Geezer's bass was a little bit more prominent, because the bass line he has underneath there is so awesome too. It's just it's a lot of cool stuff. Everyone in the song, you know, sounds awesome, especially Ozzy's vocals. Like, I really love, you know, I wanna reach out and touch the sky. He sounds so good on this. And near the middle, you know, all the instruments kind of cut back after the guitar solo that Tony does, and it's just drums for like a couple bars, and then they kind of insert these like acoustic guitars that kind of have like a delay effect on it. This is an awesome song to jam to. And it just seems to be a song about like living life to the fullest. I'm not alone in the sentiment in terms of me like gushing over it, because apparently this was a favorite of John Bonham of Led Zeppelin, as well as the legendary Frank Zappa. So I'm in good company in terms of my opinions of this song. But yeah, one of their best tracks, bar none, regardless of what album it was on. Track 6, Snowblind. Now, this was actually originally what Volume 4 was supposed to be called. And the record label didn't like that, because the song's about I do cocaine. So yeah, they couldn't call it what they wanted to, so they called it Volume 4. And I mentioned earlier the arpeggios that Tony Iommi plays throughout this album with the overdrive, giving it this very black metal feel, and Snowblind's probably the most black metal feeling song on the album. This is the song where I would say that's most prominent, very moody kind of vibe. Besides the guitar obviously having that black metal quality and sounding really cool, I love the drums throughout this song. They're really cool, especially during the verse. The drum groove during the verse is just fantastic. And you know, Bill Ward was able to like step up and do a little bit more on this album compared to Master of Reality. There's this cool fast part near the middle with like and I really like Ozzy singing through a lot of this song. You know, that part too. It's like, don't you think you know what I'm doing? You're the one that's really a loser. Like, love the way he sounds over that part. As well as the middle section too, that my eyes are blind but I can see. That whole section. Again, Ozzy sounds really good throughout this record. And towards the outro, it almost sounds like these string sections that they put in there. Snowblind's a classic. One of their best songs, or probably one of the better songs on this album. Yeah, can't really complain. This one's really well put together.
Cocaine.
Track 7, we have Cornucopia. Now, this song's intro is like one of the heaviest riffs that Black Sabbath has ever done, bar none. Like, it's just really, really nasty. Just when he goes up to that one note and just does that vibrato, it just sounds so wicked. It kind of transitions into this verse section where it's like da 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 da. I really like the bass part during this part. And then during the chorus, I really like Ozzy's vocals. This is down, bam, bam, you're gonna go insane. You know, that whole section. Just love the way his voice sounds there. And I really like the bridge section too. There's this like riff that comes in. It's like da 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 bam 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 bam. Now, it might sound like I'm giving like this song a lot of praise, because a lot of these parts individually are super cool. The way they're like kind of put together though. Again, kind of like how I was saying with Tomorrow's Dream, it feels a little slapdash, but the parts are cool. So some of it feels like they just could have been separate songs altogether, but they just kind of cobbled it all together. So not a bad song by any means, but just an observation. I don't think it's really like reaches the brilliance of something like Supernaut or Snowblind, but it's still a solid track. Lyrically, it seems to be about, being easily manipulated by wealth and materialism and stuff like that. So yeah, that's all I really got to say about Cornucopia. Solid track, love the intro and, a couple of the parts like I mentioned, but it does feel like it's just kind of thrown together in a pot. Track 8, we have Laguna Sunrise. Now, this was inspired by Tony Iommi being on Laguna Beach in California and seeing the sunrise while he was on the beach. This whole album, I believe, was recorded in California. And it's super soothing, just this acoustic guitar piece with like strings that come in a little later on. And it just sounds gorgeous. Like, it really nails the tone. Like, you could totally picture yourself just sitting on the beach, like, at dawn and seeing the sun rise up and, ready to face, like, a new day, just feeling totally tranquil. And, yeah, I really like this instrumental. It's just really well arranged, peaceful sounding, nice contrast to a lot of, the rocky, psychedelic stuff that's been going on for the rest of it. But, yeah. Like the song a lot, cool instrumental. Track 9, St.Vitus Dance. Now, this song sounds like a little happier, not quite as moody as some of the other songs. And I really like the riff during the verse, though. It's just dun 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 dun. Very cool riff. The intro, I guess it's also the chorus too. It's got this like dun 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 dun. Very happy-go-lucky kind of feel to it. The lyrics are about this man kind of disregards this woman and thinks that she doesn't actually love him and just loves him for his earthly possessions. And I guess Ozzy, being the narrator, is basically kind of slapping him on the head and being like, dude, fucking idiot, like, all she ever does is talk about you. She loves you for you. Like, what are you doing? So I always kind of like the lyrics of that. And it has cool groovy riffs, but again, this song kind of has the same problem that Cornucopia and Tomorrow's Dream has. It feels a little fillery. It's never like the first song I want to listen to on Volume 4. Solid track, but nothing amazing by any means. Track 10, Under the Sun, the final track of the album. Now, I've always thought the song was like super underrated throughout the entire like Black Sabbath catalog. It's got this brutal heavy intro, like a lot, kind of like Cornucopia, and it's just dun, 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 dun. It's so heavy, like just earth-shattering. And then right after that, you go into this metal as fuck guitar riff that he does, and it's not like the usual like, huge sludgy power chords like you heard in the intro, but it's just almost more of like a modern kind of like true metal guitar riff that you hear. Just dun 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 dun. And I love the way Ozzy's vocals go over that too, like well, I don't want no Jesus freak to tell me what it's all about. Like all those kind of lyrics, it just great vocals over it. And then every verse ends with this like kind of run that Tony Iommi does. It's like da 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 da, and it just goes right back into that groove. It's super cool. There's this kind of like middle section. It kind of reminds me of that fast middle section that you hear in Into the Void on the previous album, where it just goes like da 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 da, and at one point it kind of goes up like a step. It's like the Everyday Comes and Goes section of the song. It's like every day comes and goes, that whole thing, and cool drum fills that Bill Ward does during it too. Like the guitars and bass will stop and you just hear. And like a little guitar solo, and it does this really sharp transition back into like the verse riff. So it's a little sudden, but it still sounds super cool. Eventually, it goes into this moody kind of psychedelic outro. You hear these like gongs. It's like dun 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 dun. You know, and it basically does that to the end. And near the end of the song, they slow it down a little bit, like dun 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 dun, and it goes like slower and slower until the song just ends. But yeah, the song is so cool. Really underrated in my opinion. Lyrically, it seems to be about choosing what to believe in, which I find odd. Because you guys remember after Forever, it almost felt like a knee-jerk reaction of them, like, oh, we believe in God, you know, we're not a Satan band. And yet, Under the Sun, it almost like, okay, don't push your religious beliefs on me. So it's like, what is it? Are you guys, like, religious or are you not? But, you know, that doesn't really matter. The song's fucking cool as shit. Just listen to it. Hey guys, what's up? Just a quick little break here. You guys probably noticed there was music in the background while I was talking this week. I decided going forward I want to start promoting more local, lesser-known bands, stuff like that. And this month's band is Psychoprism. Psychoprism is a New Jersey / New York-based power metal band, so any fans of power metal or even old-school Queensryche will probably really like these guys. This is a clip from their song Rise of the album of the same name that came out at the tail end of last year. So check it out. Good stuff.
We gotta rise, resistance in systematic evolution. Before my eyes, life is flashing, choice and motivation. We gotta rise, resist system evolution. Before my eyes, life is crashing, revolution.
So what are my overall thoughts on the album? You know, there's moments of brilliance on here. Under the Sun, Supernaut, Snowblind, Changes. But there's also, like, songs I would, you know, almost consider to be sort of filler. Not bad, but just kind of there, or just kind of good. Like St.Vitus Dance, Cornucopia, Tomorrow's Dream. Those three songs, for example, I don't think are anywhere near as good as, like, the moments of brilliance. But there are a lot of moments of brilliance. You know, this isn't a bad album by any regard. And then something like Effects is just completely unnecessary, though. Like, I can't really defend that. This whole album sounds like a band not really knowing where to go next. Because they kind of nailed that early, heavy, bombastic sound with the first 3 records. And it's like, well, we gotta try to change it up a little bit. And, you know, some of these songs I could say almost have like a progressive rock influence on it, because that was going strong at the time. But, yeah, they're just throwing darts at a wall, hoping stuff sticks, and sometimes it really does, and other times it's just okay, or just misses the mark completely. The guitar tone's fantastic. I really like the guitar sound, but I really don't like the fact that, you know, Geezer is so much lower in the mix compared to the previous records. He's not buried, you know, it's not like an Injustice for All situation with Metallica where you can't hear it at all. You can hear it, but it's just not the same. It's not really beating you in the face. And Ozzy's singing sounds great. I think he sounds a lot more interesting on this album than he did on Master of Reality. Because as much as I love Master of Reality, it's carried by the guitar and bass. The drums and vocals are just like not really as interesting as there. Whereas here, both of those, the vocals and the drums, are a lot more interesting. I just don't think the songwriting is quite as strong as it was on Master of Reality, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, is the songwriting. Tony also does a lot of very fluttery guitar solos, a lot of like kind of hammer-on stuff that he does to like almost every solo on the album. And the whole album has this very psychedelic vibe. You know, you notice it kept bringing that kind of word into play. Like, if Master of Reality was this sludgy, smoky album characterized by
Don't mess me yet! I'm getting high as a motherfucker! Help! Take it to the head! Take it to the head!
then Volume 4 is very much this psychedelic, coked out album, just characterized by
Cocaine? What's it do?
It turns all your bad feelings into good feelings. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's all I really have to say about Volume 4, and, you know, it's a pretty good album, but it is a little bit of a mixed bag at the same time, so I would probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5. You know, pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the first three, though. Now, the top three tracks, I would say, in order of appearance, Changes, Supernaut, and Snowblind. I really want to throw Under the Sun on there, too. That would be almost like an honorable mention, but I try to keep it to just, 3 tracks. But, yeah, that's all I really have to say about Volume 4. Pretty good. It's definitely got some tracks that I would consider essential, but it's not a masterpiece. It's like a pretty good album, I would say. But anyway, guys, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Next week, I'm going to be doing a video on their 5th album, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, which, I have some possibly controversial opinions to say on that album as well. But, yeah, see you next week.
I'm thinking maybe I'd like to try me some of that cocaine.